Welcome to part 22 of this video series. Today I'm going to be discussing connecting and using the internet while being aboard your small liveaboard boat. And a special thanks to those of you who have already subscribed to this channel. And again, thank you so much for supporting the creation of this video series. If you haven't done so already, then please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos in this series. To start with, I want to apologize to all those who believe electronics have no place aboard a boat. I remember way back in 1994, Old Salt's giving me a hard time because I had a black and white TV on board. Well, times have changed, and the days of people believing that having a clock on board was bad luck are long since gone. Which, to be honest, never made any sense to me anyway, since boaters have to know what time it is to judge the tides. Okay, this is a subject that even as I write this, the technology and the way it's delivered is constantly changing. But I'll do my best. I'll cover all the ways I currently know to get internet on board, and if you know of any others, please just include them in the comments below. The most common way of getting full-time internet on board is simply using a marina's Wi-Fi. Now, not all marinas offer this yet, but it is getting more and more common. The issue is that marina Wi-Fi can be notoriously slow, and some marinas have gaps in the coverage. Usually asking for a slip closer to the transmitter can be accommodated because not all the boats in the marina need to have access to Wi-Fi. Now, if you're cruising and anchoring overnight, on occasion you can pick up Wi-Fi from marinas or shoreside restaurants, but quite often they'll have some form of password. A lot of things have been tried, but were painfully slow, and not much use for day-to-day. Now, for example, you can send data packets over an analog SSB radio. However, this makes dial-up feel super fast. These are only basically good for sending small files. Next is the Inmarsat style satellite internet. This is still one of the only options for offshore cruising. However, this is a very, very expensive option. Inmarsat does have phone and text plans that aren't too super priced, but data is completely ridiculous. This is better left to the mega yachts out there. To give you an example, a single gigabyte of data is nearly $1,000 a month. Other similar satellite companies are starting to pop up, but the prices are still about the same. The most common option is to use a sales provider's data package. This is the most mobile option within an affordable price range. Speeds are gotten to the point that are comparable to home internet, and for most boaters, cellular coverage covers most areas. Now, you can't use this to cross an ocean, but for coastal cruising it works fine. You can connect all your devices to a single device. What that means is you can connect one cell phone or a specific hotspot device as a Wi-Fi router for your whole boat. If you choose this method, there are some big questions you have to ask, and you have to do some real research. Now, most of this is common sense, but the first question has to be coverage. There's no point using a provider if they don't cover the majority of your cruising grounds. And the second question is plans. There are so many things you have to watch for. For example, a lot claim to be unlimited, but either cut you or throttle your speeds down to a near stop once you hit the specific amount. Also, a lot of unlimited plans don't let you connect other devices or only let you connect them for a limited amount. I've been told there are illegal ways around this, but I'm not going to get into that. If you only need a small amount of data, you can use a smaller plan, but if you're constantly using data for navigation or researching new locations, or if you watch or listen to streaming services, you'll need a very large plan. There are companies out there starting to pop up that offer this type of large plans for the adventurer specifically, but you still have to read that small print. Another thing to think about if you're using cellular method of getting data is what about those fringe areas where you have some coverage but not a lot. For this you'll need a cell booster. Now, don't get scammed by these cases that have so-called boosters already in them, or a sticker looking thing that goes on the battery, or even the small antennas that plug into the charging port. These are a scam. You won't actually do anything enough to help you get better data reception. What you would want is a system that will probably cost you a couple $100 that has a receiving antenna on the outside of the boat and a transmitting antenna on the inside of the boat. These simply work by receiving a weak cell signal and boosting it, then retransmitting a stronger signal. There is another option for boaters that's becoming more popular, and that is Starlink. I haven't used these personally, but I have been researching them. This is actually a more or less affordable option, providing you have enough power to run it. If you have to upgrade your boat's power system as well, it can become very costly. The best information I was able to come up with for power consumption was that it will kill a 100 amp battery in about 8 hours. So using simple math, it means it draws about 12.5 amps per hour. That's a lot if you're not connected to shore power. Another issue is you must have an unobstructed spot on your boat in which to mount the pizza-sized receiver. For larger power boats, this shouldn't be an issue, but for small boats, finding that space can be hard, and sailboats need to think about their mast and rigging obstructing the dish. The last issue is connecting to the satellites themselves. The way this system works is the coverage area is divided into cells. Each cell has its own service address. Now, it used to be that each time you went from one cell to another, you had to enter in the service address of that cell. But today they have added roaming, so this is done more or less automatically. The issue still is that some of these addresses are few and far between. And if you're too far away, let's say more than about 10 miles, your connection speed will seriously drop, if you can connect at all. These systems work great if you don't travel much, but they still need some work before they become reliable for cruisers. If you rarely leave your home port, there is yet another option for you, and that's mobile internet. This is offered by some home internet providers, but is meant more for people that live in rural areas. Now these usually come in some form of a modem router combo that plugs into a regular AC outlet. Now you can move around a little bit with these, but the moment you leave your service area, they stop working. The last option is for those who use very little internet, those who only use their cell phones on board. If you need to do research or look up large files, you can always run to a local coffee shop. A lot of stores and restaurants now also offer free Wi-Fi. I have met sailors who would make it a point to go to a coffee shop at least once a day, do all the research for the next day, maybe download a movie for that night, go through their social media, etc., and if they worked online, upload a file. If you need to upload large files like videos, this still is the only real valid option. Even if you have data on your boat, upload speeds over a cell carrier can be ridiculously slow. In closing, whether you decide to use a sophisticated system on board or just to run to your local coffee shop each time, you just need to figure out coverage, cost, and power consumption. So do your research and look at all the different options and figure out what method would work best for your situation. If I missed anything, or if you have any thoughts or ideas about this subject or ideas for future subjects, please let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love hearing from you. And thanks you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video series on living aboard a small boat. If you have, then please subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Also, I included links to all the past videos in the description below.